Hi guys!
That's me.
That's you!
My what's in the today?
Oh, that's close. Oh, that's closer. Hi guys, welcome to my jungle. Today I just thought I would keep it pretty cruisy and I would take you around and show you what I'm propagating. I have a couple of different spots around the house where I have little collections of plant babies and they're propagating in different mediums, and I don't know, let's just go have a look. I don't have a tripod for my camera yet, so I apologize if my notoriously shaky hands become a problem, but I'm doing my best. So inside my Ikea cabinet here, which I think I'll do a tour of soon as well. This shelf here, that is the shortest. It has the least amount of height out of all of the shelves. So, okay, my propagation shelf. Fun. Let's have a look. Let's just start at the front, I suppose. Oh, I might turn the fans off because they're probably noisy. I turned the brightness of my grow lights down a smidge, so hopefully that's a little less blaringly bright. So the first propagation I have here is a cutting of my Sphagnum erythrophyllum, and it's propagating here in Vermiculite. I don't know if this counts as a sort of semi-hydro situation, but I might do a video on how I propagate in Vermiculite, but I'm still in the trial period. I'm still giving a few different things a go, but I'm getting good results. As you can see, I have a new leaf coming in. I can't see any roots yet around the edges, but I'm sure it won't be too far away. Inside this cloche here is the top cuttings of my 2 jewel orchids from the uprooted unboxing video. They're both just in some moss, Sphagnum moss in there. I'm getting extra humidity with the cloche there. I have water propagations here of my Peperomia piccolobanda, and you can see that the roots have formed, and now there's little babies. Hopefully you can see there the tiny little baby leaves starting to grow out of the base of the roots or the base of the cutting. How cute! And just next to it in this little vial here, I have my cutting of my, I think this is a rainbow elephant bush. Here I just have, oh, still sitting in some water there. Just have a cutting of my begonia Medora, a little leaf cutting. Oh, it does have a bit of a stem in there. It's in some Sphagnum moss. I've never propagated begonia before, so this is my first try. See how it goes. This is a Obovata splash cutting, very well rooted cutting, that I bought in a bundle of Hoya off a lady off Facebook because I was looking for the standard Hoya Obovata to mount on the corkwood in my kitchen. So you can see that the splash on the leaves has turned a little pink. It used to be a lot whiter, but it sits directly underneath the grow light and has got a little sun stress, and I think that that's really cute, to be honest. It's in this glass of vermiculite and water, sitting on top though. Inside this glass I have a few things. So I have this tiny little Hoya lacinosa leaf and stem that you can see has quite a long little root coming off. It's nearly the length of the leaf. The same goes for these little string of hearts. So you can see that root growing out the back there. Wow. This is a little, I don't know, tiny beer mug thing that I found in the mill markets, and I have quite a lot of leaves water propagating in here. So I have a bunch of Cebu blue cuttings. I think there's 3 in there. My silver lady, there's another Hoya lacinosa leaf This one has a longer stem, and underneath these cebu here is the Philodendron Brazil. I think with this beer stein out of the way, I can show you a couple in the cabinet. So in this little cream jug, milk jug here that I also found at the mill market, I have my red vein Maranta cutting. Still waiting on roots for that one. I've already potted up its friends that I snipped off at the same time, but that one's taking a long time. And another cebu blue cutting that I accidentally took out of my other water propagation vessel to pot up and left it on my desk and forgot about it nearly all night. So see how that comes back. Back here I just have another one leaf cutting from my other just green Maranta. Also still waiting on roots there. Back here I have a little plastic container with sphagnum moss with some piccolo banda leaf and stem cuttings in there as well. They're starting to root up now. I'm just waiting for it to pop out some babies. But underneath that container I have another one, which is leaf cuttings from my Peperomia Frost, which is in a little container of Koya. You can see in here we've got little babies starting to pop up. Just super fun, super cute. Right up the back there. You can see I have this koala mug back here, which is just full of water, and I have some Syngonium moonshine and Syngonium berry or berry illusion cuttings rooting in there as well. I think there might even be some string of hearts. Let's have a look at the roots if we can. Ooh, fair bit of roots going on in there. That's fun. And right back here I have this little container of more Peperomia Frost with tons of little babies growing out. This one's in my soil mixture, and these big leaves here were propagated in water. I have another little water vessel back here. So I have this little sort of duvlaki back here. You see some roots. Ooh. For my Peperomia Pink Lady. These 4 stems were just getting a little bit too tall for the rest of the plant, and it looked a bit silly, so I chopped them off and I'll make another plant. I also have a cutting from my Silvery Ann just hanging out with them in there. I've potted up a cutting that I had of a Pilea Pepia Mortis that rooted really well in water and started growing babies underneath the water. So I've potted it up, but it's not looking too happy. It's fine, not every propagation is going to be a winner, let's be honest. I think this is called Peperomia Sunrise. As you can see, these are quite damaged looking older leaves that I've propagated from, which is why I've cut them off the original plant to begin with. You can see these little baby leaves starting to pop out now. This is a trial that I did propagating in pure peat moss, and I have to say I absolutely did not love it. It did go hydrophobic and clump up into a big sort of sponge that took a long time to wet down again, and it was super compact, and I didn't think that I was actually getting enough oxygen in at the roots at all. But here we are, little babies popping out. So hopefully these ugly sort of damaged leaves can produce a beautiful little plant. This is sort of the other one of these straight peat moss experiments. So this is in a terracotta pot. It's just sitting in this plastic container to catch water. And it's some other sort of, again, ugly damaged leaves of my Peperomia Pink Lady, but I'm starting to have some, you can see those little baby leaves down there. It's just starting to pop them out after a few months, I think, of being in here. So, this will be a whole sweet little plant of Peperomia Pink Lady soon, eventually. Just on the shelf above here, actually, I do have 2 more cuttings. This is a cutting by division that I've done of my Syngonium confetti that I have just rooting up some more in this sphagnum moss. So yeah, and over here, also in sphagnum moss, I have lots of cuttings of this Philodendron hederaceum lemon lime, and I'm rooting them all up in here, and then I'll put them all together and be a big overflowing pot with lots and lots of vines, which is super exciting. Oh, actually up here on this next level I also have a couple of propagations. In this funky cute little guy here I have some more sphagnum moss and a top cutting from my Hoya Crimson Princess that I'm planning on potting back into the mother plant pot. And just behind there I have my glass jar of Syngonium mosaic, and I now have a third leaf on the way. Oh, and a tiny little bud of a fourth leaf. I have to admit, out of all of my sort of Syngonium cuttings that I've bought, this is the only one that I've kept in Vermiculite since I've gotten it, and it's grown the fastest. It's acclimated the fastest, I feel. The others take a long time to sort of warm up, get cozy in their new home before they push anything out. But I don't know, this might be another big point for Vermiculite. Just over here on this tiny little shelf on my desk, I have a little jar back here, or bottle or whatever, with some propagations in there. I have some Peperomia serpens and a pup from my Dracaena. So they're just water propagating in there together. They're obviously getting a good amount of light from that lamp right there. So another little spot that I propagate is the corner of this cabinet underneath my TV. Ignore the cocoa melon going on here. As you can see, I have a lamp up here that has a globe in it that works really well as a grow light. So it's a perfect place for these little propagations. Let's see what we have. I might start over this way. Here I have some cuttings from my Christmas cactus that I rooted in water and very recently just potted up in my soil. I do put holes in the bottom of these plastic cups, so there is drainage, don't panic. Next I have some water propagations going on here. Just inside this skull here I have a cutting from my Syngonium Maria. It'd be better if I turn that lamp off, or worse. Oh no, that looks a bit better. So there's a little bit of damage here from when she had the spider mites, but that's why I thought I better have a backup plant. So she's rooting there. I have these little propagation vials here that have a couple of different plants in them. The water is dirty as heck. I need to change that out so bad. But I have some rooted, just plain Hederaceum, Philodendron Hederaceum cuttings here. I have some hard water marks on those leaves, which is probably why I snipped them off. So they're pretty well rooted in there, but I don't know, I'm just gonna leave it there for longer. Inside this one I have a cutting from my lipstick plant here that is starting to root down the bottom there. This one here that you can see is a cutting from my Rhipsalis paradoxa. It's not rooting yet, but it also hasn't died like its friends has, so it's holding on. And a tiny little cutting, you can see this skinny leaf here, from my Hoya Sangii Odette. And then over this way, the Tradescantia multiflora or bridal veil, Tahitian bridal veil, that I have in my bathroom was starting to look a bit just leggy and funky. The one outside looks great, the one in my bathroom not so much. So I just chopped everything off from the pot, the base of the pot, and I'm water propagating in there, and I'll pot them up again and make a nicer looking plant. In these other little plastic cups here I have water on my bench. That's what I have. Cool. Hoya australis. It's a very prolific grower, so I always have a lot to propagate. It was very well rooted in water, and it looks like it's already starting to grow its roots around the edge of this. And back in this one here is just a Hoya pupacalyx that I also rooted in water and recently potted up in here. Also back here in this little pinch pot that I made, this says hearts, very fitting for my variegated hearts propagations that aren't all doing fantastically. Some of them are starting to grow up around the hoop, which is exciting, but I don't know that it's loving this little weird pot that I made. Inside this candle jar I have micans that's super rooted and pushing out leaves. It's just in vermiculite and water, and yeah, it's a cutie. This here is my prop box. Just sitting on top here, I have a circle container with a square lid, which has actually worked really well because it's allowed for airflow so that nothing's sat, I don't know, too gross and moldy. Inside here I have a bunch of leaves from my peperomia string of turtles, and they're just sitting on some wet sphagnum in there at the moment, and eventually they will all root up and start pushing out new growth, and I can just pick up this whole piece of sphagnum moss and plant and put it on top of a pot of soil and have a new plant, and I love that. I use the same method for my string of hearts, and yeah, I think it's really fun and easy. Okay, inside this prop box here, what do we have? Lots of fun stuff. These two here are Ripsilis cryptantha. They do have roots, but I'm waiting on a sort of big square piece of cork wood to come in the mail that I've ordered because this is a shingling plant. It likes to shingle up against the surface. So I'm just waiting for that in the mail, so in the meantime it's just gonna hang out in my prop box. What else do I have in here? These are two little Syngonium white line cuttings. They just didn't root as fast as all the others that all got potted up in the same pot together. So I'll probably put these two up separately in their own pot, and I don't know, maybe give it away if someone's interested. I have a couple of wet sticks around. I think that's one over there. It has, I don't know if you can see that little growth point coming out now of that wet stick there. And I have another wet stick here. It's not really doing much yet, but it's fine. It can just hang out till it's ready. I have some ZZ plant cuttings. These are leaf cuttings that I'm trying out. This is my first time propagating a ZZ plant, so I wanted to try both ways. So that's I have 3 leaves sitting there in the sphagnum moss, seeing if they'll root themselves. I also have this stem here of a ZZ plant that should root. It should root at the end here, and I think it's starting to. So I'll pop that back in. This is a big old Philodendron Brazil cutting. It has heaps of new growth, and I would say it has some new roots in there that are stuck onto the sphagnum moss. This here is another wet stick that I have of Scindapsus exotica, just chilling in there, seeing if it wants to become a plant or not. It's better than throwing it in the bin. Anything else? Just this other Philodendron Brazil leaf rooting over here. Oh yeah, there's some good roots going on. So I have just a layer of damp sphagnum moss on the bottom here, and I keep this little container here of water to keep the humidity up. I also have one hole on the lid for a little bit of air circulation, and this sits over the water container so that it's not blocking the grow light from any of the plants. I do happen to have 2 propagations sitting on my dining table here, so this is just a plastic cup of sphagnum moss and golden pothos that I have rooting here, and a great big jar of vermiculite and water over here for some philodendron micans. So this just lives on the windowsill in my kitchen, and you can see it's incredibly well rooted. I should probably put these up. I have some string of hearts and some, what peperomia are you? Rana Verde? Is that right? I hope that's right. Yeah, so that's a cutie. As well as the rest of the vine of that Philodendron Heteracea lemon lime. So it already has pretty well established roots. Oh, it's a bit hard to see the lines of the cup, but it already has a lot of roots when I popped it in here. This is just what's left after I took all those cuttings, and I don't know, I'm just letting it establish and start to get used to my house. I forgot to mention this very sweet little pot that I have from a spider plant baby that I propagated in water and then popped up in soil in this little pot. That's so cute. My goodness, it just sits here next to my little terrarium. So I think that's all the propagations around my house. I'm sure that I've forgotten something somewhere. Maybe not. I might have actually nailed this. Anyway, that's everything I'm propagating. I'm sure we'll get to see them all become plants of their own at one point or another, and yeah, I might sell them off or give them to friends or family, or just keep them for myself. I'm sorry if you can hear my son like panting on the floor next to me. I don't know, it looks like some sort of interpretive dance situation. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching. If you were even marginally entertained, I would love for you to please like this video or subscribe to my channel or comment or just, I don't know, interact in any way at all. That would be
What on the back?
yeah. See you next time.